Make it home in time to see the newscast between 5 and 7. Here's what we've been talking about. Obviously, Hurricane Lee has us on weather alert tonight, spinning around offshore. What I noticed right away about this is you don't see those puffy white clouds around an eye, so it doesn't look as tropical as it once did. Now, there's still some structure to it, so the National Hurricane Center has kept it as a hurricane, which doesn't really matter to the implications that are going to be here, but it is transitioning to what we call extratropical, more like a nor'easter that we'd see in the wintertime especially. It's wrapping that rain back toward us, but this one's going to be offshore by quite a wide margin. The current track takes it to our east between 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. tomorrow morning. The morning is going to be the high time for this here in southern New England. That's why we have the tropical storm warning in place. Still forecast to be tropical right up to Nova Scotia. I'm not so certain that'll maintain, but either way, it'll still have some strong winds around the center. But the strongest winds are going to be to the right-hand side of the storm, not toward us. Now, this is 180 miles to the center line of the forecast tracks. Out to the closest track is 140 miles, and the farthest is going to be 210 miles. So between 140 and 210 miles is the current going forecast. Anywhere in that area, the changes are going to be small. But 140 miles rather than 180, and you're taking the rain and pushing it back just a little bit more into Metro West, not still to Worcester County, I believe. If it goes out 210 miles, the rain would make it only to the outer Cape and then start to move away already. So here's what the forecast looks like currently. As this comes this way, remember, as we talk about the forecast, we are in this quadrant of the tropical system. That's typically where the heaviest rain is. The strongest winds will be to the right in the tornado risk. We don't have any of that to contend with. We have some winds. We've already seen wind gusts up to 7 o'clock this evening. We're already seeing wind gusts at 47 miles per hour in Nantucket. So we're easily going to get to 50 plus outer Cape and Nantucket. Along the north and south shores, gusts over 40 miles per hour, including Boston. Keep that in mind if you have a flight in the morning at Logan Airport, especially early on. Metro West and western Massachusetts, gusts 25 plus. Now I say 25 plus because in those higher spots, there's less friction or less trees in the way, less buildings out that way too. So you can get gusts as high as 40 miles per hour. All of this wind is whipping up the water. We know that. The waves are getting high, and they're going to be as high as 10 to 15, maybe even higher feet on the outer Cape of the National Seashore. We're going to see wave heights up to 10 feet, even into Scituate and Marshfield and Plymouth, especially where there's no land in front of it to block it. Obviously, if you have a sandbar out there in front of your property, that's going to break up the wave action some. You won't get that kind of breakers coming into you. The winds are shifting to the north as the storm goes by, and that's going to push water into Cape Cod Bay as well, and the north shores of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. That's where flooding comes into play because you'll have a storm surge to contend with, and you're going to have some splash over from those big waves on top of the already high water because of the winds pushing that surge toward the coastline. Places like Sandwich and Dennis, perhaps even around Plymouth and into the corner of Cape Cod, places like Brewster, over to Provincetown, certainly Nantucket Harbor, are going to see some of that flooding. High tide is right around midnight, so between midnight to 3 a.m., the next real critical time for any substantial flooding in those areas, although some splash over can happen at any time. We've seen some of those seawalls having some waves crash over them already. By 3 a.m., we are in the steadiest rain on the current track. Again, if it pushes farther east, this will go east. If it goes a little farther west, it'll make it out to Metro West. But Boston area is seeing that rain at 3 a.m., and it's coming down solidly in southeastern Massachusetts. That heavy rain wraps to the outer Cape during the early morning hours as well. We start at 7 a.m. Saturday morning here at Boston 25 for our morning newscast. That's an hour earlier than usual, but we're going to be here to track this storm for you overnight and through the morning. Vicki and Sherry will be tracking this with you in the morning, and you'll see the rain starting to break up already. By 10 a.m., when they're done with the morning newscast, the rain that will be left over will be only on Cape Cod, and this storm is moving away quickly. Yeah, there'll be some gusty winds into the afternoon, but notice the breaks in the clouds. Some dry air wrapping in. We're going to get some sunshine to end the day. It's looking beautiful by the end of the day. Still, there'll be some rain. Now, this rain is not prolific at all. Maybe a little underdone in spots. I wouldn't be surprised to see between 1 and 2 inches in some places out on Cape Cod, for instance. And Boston might get into the 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch category before it's all said and done. This is just one computer model projections. Others are higher. But this is the only model run that shows nothing happening outside 495 as far as rain out to Worcester County, Fitchburg, Leominster, for instance, places that saw some flooding earlier this week and were concerned about this storm coming up the coast. You will not get rain out there. Don't have to worry about that with this storm. So I've kept this as the best projection to where I think the rain shield will go. It's back here to Metro West with light rains. And Boston, I do believe that might be a little underdone. The same thing with Cape Cod. There'll be a little bit more rain in some spots. But obviously, if it tracks a little farther to the east, these rain amounts will come to fruition or could end up being overdone. So Here's the general idea. Heaviest rains, Cape Cod and Nantucket, even out to the Vineyard. A little bit of rain here on the South Shore, and lesser rains out to Metro West, with nothing in central and western New England, and including up here into New Hampshire, Vermont, and western Maine. This weekend, though, that storm pulls away, and by Sunday we're getting back into some sunshine. It's going to be a beautiful day on Sunday. Remember, this storm is moving quickly. It's not coming north and then looping around and keeping us in it for a couple of days. It's going to be in and out. So in overnight for an overnight snack, and out by lunchtime tomorrow afternoon, and then we're back to some beautiful weather. Still windy tomorrow afternoon, but clearing out. And then on Sunday, the better of the 2 weekend days with a full day of sunshine and temperatures near 80. I will tell you there's some more rain in the forecast on Monday. Some showers come on through. Doesn't look like the flooding kind of rain, but obviously in places that have had issues already, any rain is going to be a problem. So plan for that on Monday, but at least you'll have Saturday afternoon and Sunday to prepare for it. Of course, tonight on Boston 25 at 10 and 11, we'll have updates on what Lee is doing, where the heaviest rain is, what the winds are looking like, and I'll make any adjustments to the forecast as needed. So we hope to see you then. Thanks for tuning in.